and welcome to my channel. Thank you very much for being here and taking the time out of your day. I'm going to do some tags for the concertina prayer journal. I've got it here, and as you can see, it's getting quite fat, but I've got some pockets that I need some extra tags for. So what I've done, I've cut a shape. I have this kind of template that I use, and I've cut a shape out of the white card, just a scrap I've got, and I just want to put this onto here, glue this on here. Now this is some ephemera from the Graphics Fairy, and the backing I've got is also from the Graphics Fairy. So I'll just stick these on both sides. I've also inked around this as well, and then what I've got is a prayer card also from the Graphics Fairy, and I'm going to kind of tear around it so that it will fit onto this tag. And I've got room up there for a hole. To put some sari silk through. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I need to soften the edges of this. And I've got my sandpaper. And I am going to just take pieces off like that. And it just takes the edge, the sharp edges off, if you sandpaper around. See what I mean, like that. Just takes those bits off that are just a little bit sharp, so it softens it. And then I'm just going to ink around it and then glue this onto here, on like that. And then the next thing I want to do is put some Crackle glaze onto there, and I've got the Distress Opaque Crackle paste. I put this on with a spatula, and around the edges I make it a little bit thicker than I do over the image. Okay, I'm going to leave that like that and leave it quite a while to dry off now, so that I can get on with some other tags while that's drying. It looks a bit of a mess at the moment, but it does come out quite nice, and the thicker you put the crackle on, the better the cracking. But in the middle I want to see the image, so I've not put such a heavy layer on there. This does crackle, but it's very fine. So I'm just going to put this aside to dry. While that tag is drying and crackling, I've got these two to make, and these are the fancy book pages, fronts from Ruby and Pearl. I just need to stick them on to some coffee paper just to back them, so I'll get on with that. Okay, I've done both of them. Now, one of the other things I want to do is use, get the right one. I don't think it matters which one. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, I think I'll use this one. This is the one I use for my gold tape. This one is the Peebo. Give it a shake. And then I'm going to go round the edge in gold. I do have another one here. See what that one's like as well. I might do that bigger one because I can get a flatter edge with it. Yeah, I've got quite a few I use for different things. Yeah, I can get a better edge with this one. And more of a gold edging, you know, the thicker line going down. I don't know if you can see it. There. Not sure. But I do like it. This is much better because it does have a thicker edge than the other two. Now, this one, I want to put this up there, and this one I want to put on here. I think I'll do this one first. I'm just going to ink, or shall I go around that in gold as well? Really make it opulent, but a thin. See, you can do this a bit thinner. You don't have to do it as fat as I did it around that one. I've rediscovered my gold. You'll be getting everything covered in gold now. Oh yeah, I like that actually on there. Yep. That's going in the middle there. Like that. Now, the other thing I've got is, I've got to remember where I've got it. Here. I save cottons and bits and pieces like that. So I've got a mix here of different colours. And I like sort of putting them all together. And what I thought I could do is just pull some of it out. Let's put this around. I think I'll go that way. Might be a little bit too much there. Pull some of it off. Nice blue there. Don't need to go all the way down. Got glue stuck on my nail. Pull these apart. So I'm going to glue these down into a kind of L shape there. So it's sort of like that, and I don't really want much else on it. I think maybe a good old-fashioned Tracy label might be a good idea down the bottom here. What have I got? Something like that. No idea what it says, can't read it. And I will ink that. Right, that's one done. So the next one is this, and I want to put this up here. I think I'm going to put a hole in first so I know where I'm going to tie. Put a tie in there. This can go about there. Now for this, I'm going to raise it up. Need them again. And let's do some gold again. Here we go. I'm going to put that there, but I am going to put some cheesecloth underneath. Like this. So I just need to cut a piece down. And then trim that so it's straight, a bit straighter. And there. And then I get my old groovy tool and I just pull bits off to fray it on there like that. I might just trim that up actually. There. So for this, I will peel these off. I've got glue everywhere. Everything's sticking to me. Even on the tweezers. Peel these off and then I will put some art glitter glue on. And just place that on there. Quickly turn it over. And then I'll just put some more on top of these here. So it's raised up slightly. Now the next thing is I've got a small rose flower. This is from Ginger Journals, I believe. She does these pink flowers. I'm thinking this one might go on top of the cover. Anyway, I hope you're all well. Everybody's okay. I've lost my sepia pen where I used to colour in on the white bits. So I want to put this sort of here, but to do that I need to raise this up as well. But I do need to put two bits on because it needs to come over the top of there. And again, I will use my art glitter glue. Gonna have to give all these tools a really good clean. Even my scissors now, I've got some glue on. So it comes up like that. Okay. Next bit is the bow at the top. And I've got this seam binding here, if I can find the end. That I want to make quite a large floppy bow. I think I'm going to cut that bit off there. Goes in the stock. And I have I want to squidge that down because I'm going to put this onto there. Now, to really push it down, I'm going to glue some of it underneath here. Then you put this on. So then you can, once it's all dry, you can pull this up a bit and fluff it all up. But for now, I'm going to let that really all dry, and then I'm going to come back with the Crackle one. This is now the next day, and I've let it dry overnight, and it does warp slightly and brings the top piece of paper off of the card. I just really ink it and then sometimes re-glue it. Sometimes I leave it because I quite like it. Like it's come off slightly down there, but you can ink it and it looks more like a relic, doesn't it? So the next thing is to spray it. And I'm using the Distress Oxide Spray tea dye so that I can get it into the cracks. Now, one thing is I inked around this, and it's actually, I didn't think about it when I did it, but it's actually kind of shown the shape of it, because this was a liquid that went on. I don't know if you can see it. Tea dye is not a dark one. I find Vintage Photo is quite dark, and I didn't want that on this. But I'm quite happy with that now. And always clean off your sprays. And then all that I'm left to do is to put this through. If I can get it through. I'm not doing very well here, am I? So these are the 3 tags I've made. Now, what I'm going to do is do a quick flip through of the prayer journal, concertina prayer journal, and you'll see these in there. So this is the completed prayer journal, concertina prayer journal. I've tied it up with some pretty chiffon, and there is a charm here, a religious medallion and a cross. Oops. And I put these 2 onto the front, just clipped them on so they can come off quite easily. Okay, and then in here, first pocket, I've got a prayer card, a large one, and also a prayer card from the Golden Prayer Kit, and I've just put it onto a scrap of paper. A good way of using up your papers. There, we did all this when I first started this. I've ended up clipping this onto here, and underneath this is all in linen paper, printed on linen paper. We did this earlier, and that one in another video, and then I've just put a small prayer card from the kit onto some tea dye paper with a bit, it's all vintage laces in here as well. Just a bit of collage of pieces I've got left over, and these labels are from the kit as well. And then over here we have a tea dyed bag. I've put one of those large clusters on there, and there's a card, a journal card from the kit. And then also this is from the Ruby, not the Ruby and Pearl, the St. Paul Golden Prayer Kit, a piece of antique lace I had left over. And this is from that book I picked up in England, the hymn book. So they go in there. And then here, again, antique lace over some paper that I've just got left over. And I've made this little, I don't know what you call it, booklet, hidden journaling spot. I don't know. Anyway, I've tied it up with butcher's twine. I won't put you through me putting all that back. And here it's just, again, some of the paper with some embossed card paper on, handmade paper on top, onto the back of an envelope, an old envelope. It was quite torn, so I thought I needed to use it. So you've got writing space. I mean, you have writing space all over it. And then this is just a little card. Again, 2 bits of paper I had. And these are, I've punched these out onto tea dye paper and then roughed them up. And then sandwiched it between the 2 pieces of card, along with some of this, I don't know, deli kind of paper. And then just put that over there and tied it up. I think you've seen this. This is a vintage postcard, and I think this is probably an antique, very fragile prayer card in that pocket. You saw us make this earlier, and then I've put another medallion charm on there. And I've got some of my gold tape that I've made, and this is using sellotape and a gold pen. And then we come to the back where we have some more antique lace on here. Over to this page, and another, this is the wax papered tag, onto some vintage book, not book page, writing paper from France, and another one of these little notelets, so there's more writing space there. And again, some more of the gold tape. This was just the end of a piece I'd torn off, so I just put it on there. It's a date. Some of my vintage tape onto there. And here I've got a side pocket, again using pieces I had left, some more vintage lace here. I had a scrap, a journal card from the Graphics Fairy, and this again is, I think this is the painted tags I made. Go in there. And then this is the gatefold that I showed you in another video, with 2 tags in and a vintage prayer card again, a French one this time, and closes with this tag there. And then over this page I've just put that onto there with some of the gold tape. And this is a postcard from Ruby and Pearl. I've put a vintage stamp on, an old real stamp on. There was just an image, so I've put that over the top. I have this book from the 1930s, I believe, about how much a farthing is worth in pence. I put at the back there with another one of these. This is waxed paper, little small tag, and a vintage, again French, prayer card as well. There's 2 pockets here, so one at the front and one at the back, and I've sewn just around it to join it together. They make quite nice pockets. This was from a doily that they were on the corners, so I made that into a corner tuck. And here again I've got a piece from the hymn book, and then I've got this vintage postcard I got in the UK recently, but it's actually stamped with Milano. So that's interesting. And then this again is a piece of the linen paper I had left over, and I had this image, I don't know where it came from, an old book, the Monastery of Batala, and I put some of my gold tape across there and then just clipped them together like that and put that in there, tucked up in there. The other collage, I was going to make it a tuck spot but changed my mind, but I did add some vintage lace down the bottom there. And then we come to the back and we're back to the front. Sorry, not the back, we come to the front again and we're back to the front. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and thanks very much for watching all of this, and I'll speak to you all again soon in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.